14 hidden messages narcissists send you without words. Have you ever felt like someone was telling you something without actually saying it? Like there was a whole conversation happening beneath the surface that left you feeling confused, manipulated, or questioning your own reality? Today, we're diving deep into the dark. Psychology of narcissistic communication, specifically the 14 hidden messages that narcissists send without ever speaking a word. These silent signals are often more powerful and damaging than anything they could say out loud. By the end of this video, you'll be able to decode these hidden messages, protect yourself from psychological manipulation, and finally understand what's really happening in those uncomfortable interactions. But first, if you've ever felt gaslit, confused, or emotionally drained after interacting with someone, smash that like button. Your engagement helps this crucial information reach others who need it. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're building a community of people who refuse to be manipulated. I'm Sarah, and for the past 15 years, I've been studying narcissistic behavior, patterns, and helping people recognize manipulation tactics. What I've discovered is that narcissists are masters of nonverbal communication. They can devastate your self-esteem, control your behavior, and rewrite your reality without saying a single word. Let me tell you about Maria. She came to me completely confused about her relationship with her boss. He never says anything directly mean, she told me. But I leave every meeting feeling like I'm incompetent and worthless. Sound familiar? Here's what most people don't realize. Narcissists use body language, facial expressions, timing, and environmental manipulation as weapons. These hidden messages are calculated, intentional, and designed to maintain their power while keeping their hands clean. Today, we're exposing all 14 of these tactics. I'll give you real examples, explain the psychology behind them, and most importantly, show you how to respond. We'll cover everything, from the subtle eye roll that invalidates your entire existence to the strategic silent treatment that leaves you begging for their attention. This is going to be intense, so grab a notebook. You'll want to remember this. Hidden message 1, the dismissive micro-expression. The first hidden message is what I call the micro-dismissal. This is a barely perceptible eye roll, slight head shake, or lip purse that happens in a fraction of a second, often while you're speaking. Picture this. You're excitedly telling your partner about a promotion at work. Mid-sentence, you catch a tiny eye roll. When you ask about it, they say, "What eye roll? You're being paranoid. Here's what's really happening." The narcissist is sending you the message. Your accomplishments don't matter, or you're not worth my full attention. But they're doing it so subtly that they can deny it if confronted. This micro-expression triggers something called emotional whiplash. Your subconscious picks up the dismissal, but your conscious mind can't quite process it, leaving you feeling unsettled and self-doubting. Dr. Paul Ekman's research on facial expressions shows that these micro-expressions leak true feelings before someone can control them. Narcissists often feel contempt or superiority, and it shows up in these tiny facial movements. So how do you handle this? First, trust your gut. If you felt dismissed, you probably were. Second, don't chase validation by asking, "Did you just roll your eyes?" Instead, simply continue with confidence. The message you send back is, "Your opinion of me doesn't define my worth." I had a client whose mother would do this tiny lip purse every time my client shared good news. Once she recognized it, she stopped seeking her mother's approval and found that the behavior lost its power. Drop a comment if you've experienced this micro-dismissal. I bet more people relate to this than you think. And stick around, because the next hidden message is even more insidious. Hidden message 2, the strategic silence. Hidden message number 2 is the strategic silence. And this one is particularly cruel because it weaponizes your need for connection. Imagine you've had a disagreement with someone, and instead of discussing it, they go completely silent. Not just quiet, ice-cold silent. They'll be in the same room, acknowledge others, but treat you like you're invisible. The message they're sending is crystal clear. You are so worthless that you don't deserve acknowledgement. You must earn back the privilege of my attention. But here's the manipulation. They'll never tell you what you need to do to earn it back. You're left guessing, apologizing for things you didn't do, and eventually begging for their attention. This tactic exploits a fundamental human need, the need to belong and be acknowledged. Psychologist Kipling, Williams's research on ostracism, shows that being ignored activates the same pain centers in your brain as physical injury. Narcissists instinctively understand this. They use silence as punishment, knowing it will drive you to desperate attempts to reconnect with them. And once you start chasing, they've regained control. I worked with a woman whose husband would give her the silent treatment for days. After any disagreement, she'd cook his favorite meals, buy him gifts, and apologize repeatedly, even when she'd done nothing wrong. He was training her to never challenge him again. Here's how the cycle works. Disagreement happens, silent treatment begins. You panic and chase. They graciously forgive you. You learn to avoid disagreeing. It's psychological conditioning at its worst. To break this cycle, you have to do the opposite of what they expect. Don't chase. Don't apologize for things you didn't do. Continue living your life normally. The message you send back is, I don't need your approval to exist. Watch for these red flags. The silence is selective. They talk to others, but not you. It's disproportionate to any actual conflict, and there's no clear path to resolution. But strategic silence is just the beginning. The third hidden message involves a manipulation so subtle that most people don't even realize it's happening. Hidden message 3, the superiority stance. Hidden message number 3 is communicated entirely through body language, and I call it the superiority stance. Watch this. When a narcissist wants to establish dominance, they'll position themselves physically above you, standing when you're sitting, choosing the head seat at a table, or even something as subtle as straightening their posture when you approach. The hidden message is, I am above you in every way. You should look up to me, literally and figuratively. This isn't accidental. Narcissists are hyper-aware of power dynamics, and they use physical positioning to reinforce psychological hierarchy. Think about that boss who always stands behind your chair when giving feedback, making you crane your neck to look at them, or the family member who sits in the patriarch chair at every gathering, even when it's not their house. I had a client whose narcissistic father would actually step onto the first step of their staircase whenever having a serious conversation with family members. He literally positioned himself above them. Research in environmental psychology shows that height advantage triggers subconscious feelings of submission in others. It's primal. We're wired to perceive those above us as more powerful. Narcissists exploit this by consistently positioning themselves in the dominant physical position. Over time, this creates a psychological dynamic where you automatically defer to them, even when they're wrong. Sometimes it's not about height, it's about space. They'll spread out, taking up more room than necessary. While you unconsciously make yourself smaller, they might lean back in their chair while you lean forward, or they'll maintain intense eye contact that forces you to look away first. Here's how to neutralize this tactic. First, become aware of the positioning. If they're standing and you're sitting, stand up. If they're taking up excessive space, claim your own. Match their posture and eye contact. The goal isn't to be aggressive, it's to communicate that you're equals. When you refuse to shrink, you disrupt their power play. One of my clients started noticing her mother's positioning tactics at family dinners. Instead of sitting in her usual spot at the kids' end of the table, she started taking a seat that put her at equal eye level. The whole family dynamic shifted because she refused to be positioned as subordinate. Have you noticed someone doing this to you? Pay attention this week. You might be surprised how common this manipulation is. And speaking of common, the fourth hidden message is something almost everyone has experienced. Hidden message 4, the invalidation glance. The fourth hidden message is one of the most damaging, and it happens in just a split second. I call it the invalidation glance. Picture this. You're in a group conversation, sharing an opinion or telling a story. Right as you're speaking, the narcissist makes brief eye contact with someone else in the room. Just a quick glance accompanied by a tiny head shake or raised eyebrow. That glance carries a clear message to the other person. Can you believe this idiot? Or don't take them seriously. But the message to you is even worse. Not only are you wrong, but everyone else can see it too. This tactic is particularly cruel because it's designed to isolate you. The narcissist is attempting to turn others against you, or at least make you feel like they have. Even if the other person doesn't respond to the glance, the damage is done. You feel like you're on the outside. I'll never forget watching this happen to a colleague during a presentation. Every time she made a point, her supervisor would catch the eye of another team member and do this tiny head shake. By the end of the meeting, she looked completely deflated, even though she'd presented excellent ideas. This manipulation works because humans are social creatures. We're wired to care about group acceptance. When someone signals that we're not accepted or taken seriously by the group, it triggers deep feelings of shame and self-doubt. The narcissist knows this. They're essentially weaponizing your social instincts against you. Here's why this tactic is so devastating. You can't directly address it without looking paranoid. If you say, "I saw that look you gave her," they'll respond with, "What look?" You're imagining things. Now you look unstable, on top of whatever they were trying to invalidate. Over time, these invalidation glances condition you to second-guess yourself. Before speaking, you start thinking, will they give that look again? Maybe. I shouldn't say anything. They've successfully installed self-censorship. Watch for these signs. The glances always happen when you're speaking. They're directed at specific people, usually those the narcissist wants to influence, and they're accompanied by subtle dismissive expressions. Here's how to handle it. First, continue speaking with confidence. Don't let the glance derail you. Second, if appropriate, directly address the group. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks about this. This forces the conversation back to substance rather than manipulation. Remember, their opinion isn't universal truth. Just because they're trying to signal that you're wrong doesn't mean you are. Trust your own knowledge and judgment. But invalidation glances are just the surface level. Wait until you see how narcissists manipulate you through something as simple as timing. Hidden message 5, the timing power play. Hidden message number 5 is all about timing, and it's one of the most subtle forms of control. I call it the timing power play. Narcissists understand that controlling when things happen is just as powerful as controlling what happens. They'll consistently show up late to your events but expect you to be punctual for theirs. They'll delay responses to your urgent requests but demand immediate replies to their messages. The message is clear. My time is more valuable than yours. You exist on my schedule, not your own. This might seem like simple rudeness, but it's actually a sophisticated control mechanism. By controlling the timing of interactions, they maintain dominance in the relationship. Think about that friend who always shows up 30 minutes late to dinner. Reservations you made, but gets angry if you're 5 minutes late to their events. Or the colleague who takes days to respond to your emails but expects immediate replies to theirs. I worked with a client whose mother would call during her busiest work hours, then act hurt if she couldn't talk. But when my client needed to reach her mother urgently, radio silence. Time control is about power, because time is our most valuable resource. When someone consistently disrespects your time, they're communicating that you're not worth consideration. But here's the manipulative part. They'll often have elaborate excuses. Traffic was bad. They got an important call. Their phone died. The excuses make it seem accidental, but the pattern reveals the truth. Over time, this timing manipulation conditions you to always be available when they need you. Never expect reliability from them. Feel grateful when they do show up on time. Plan your life around their unpredictable schedule. Here's a particularly cruel variation. They'll create fake urgency around their needs. I need this now, while treating your actual emergencies as inconveniences. This trains you to prioritize their wants over your own needs. I had a client whose boss would consistently schedule urgent meetings at 5 p.m. on Fridays, ruining her weekend plans. But when she had a family emergency and needed to leave early, suddenly it was unprofessional and showed lack of commitment. The double standard is the giveaway. Rules apply to you but not to them. Your time can be wasted, but theirs is sacred. Your schedule is flexible, but theirs is set in stone. Here's how to reclaim your time. Set clear boundaries and stick to them. If they're consistently late, leave after a reasonable wait time. If they demand immediate responses, reply on your own timeline for non-emergencies. The key is consistency. Don't reward their time disrespect with flexibility. Show them that your time has value by protecting it. One client started leaving restaurants after 20 minutes when her chronically late friend didn't show. After missing 3 dinners, the friend suddenly became punctual. Consequences work. Comment below if you've experienced this timing manipulation. I bet many of you have stories about people who don't respect your time but expect you to worship theirs. But timing isn't the only thing they manipulate. The 6th hidden message involves something even more personal. Your space. Hidden message. 6. The space invasion. Hidden message number 6 is literally in your face. It's about how narcissists invade and control your personal space to send a clear message about dominance. Personal space is sacred. Most people instinctively respect the invisible bubble around others. But narcissists? They violate this boundary deliberately and strategically. They might stand uncomfortably close when talking to you, forcing you to step back. They'll touch your belongings without asking. They'll enter your office or room without knocking. They'll read over your shoulder or listen to your private conversations. The hidden message is, I have the right to access you whenever I want. Your boundaries don't apply to me. Your comfort is irrelevant to my desires. This manipulation works because most people are conflict avoidant about boundary violations. We don't want to seem rude by saying back up or don't touch. So we endure the discomfort, and they learn they can violate our boundaries without consequences. Research shows that personal space violations trigger stress responses. Your body literally goes into alert mode when someone invades your space without permission. Narcissists use this biological response to keep you off balance and submissive. I've seen this play out in so many ways. The manager who leans over your desk to look at your computer screen. The family member who goes through your mail or personal items. The friend who shows up unannounced and expects to be welcomed. One client's mother-in-law would rearrange furniture in her home during visits. The message? This isn't really your space. I can change it however I want. Here's how it typically escalates. They start with small violations, maybe standing a bit too close. When you don't push back, they escalate. Soon they're going through your phone, your mail, your personal belongings. These space invasions are often tests. They're checking to see if you'll enforce your boundaries. If you don't, they've learned they can take whatever access they want to your life. In our modern world, this extends to digital space too. They'll demand passwords to your accounts, go through your photos, or insist on being included in all your online activities. Your digital privacy becomes their open book. When you do try to establish boundaries, they'll often respond with hurt feelings. I thought we were close. You're being secretive. What are you hiding? This guilt trip is designed to make you drop your boundaries. Here's how to defend your space. Be direct and immediate. Please step back. Don't touch my things. I need you to knock before entering. Don't soften it with apologies or explanations. If they invade your physical space, create distance. Step back, put a desk between you, or simply leave the area. Your comfort matters more than their desire for access. One of my clients put a lock on her home office door after her husband kept barging in during work calls. When he complained, she said, "My workspace is private during work hours." Simple, clear, non-negotiable. Space invasion might seem obvious, but the 7th hidden message is so subtle that most people miss it completely. Hidden message 7, the emotion mirror. Hidden message number 7 is perhaps the most psychologically sophisticated, and I call it the emotion mirror. This is when narcissists manipulate your emotional state without you even realizing it's happening. Here's how it works. When you're happy, they subtly display negative emotions. A slight frown, flat tone, or distant body language. When you're upset, they become upbeat and cheerful. They're essentially mirroring the opposite of whatever you're feeling. The hidden message is, your emotions are wrong. You should feel what I want you to feel when I want you to feel it. This is emotional manipulation at its most insidious because it makes you doubt your own emotional responses. You start thinking, maybe I shouldn't be excited about this, or maybe I'm overreacting to that. Picture this. You come home excited about a great day at work. Instead of matching your energy, they respond with sighs, complaints about their day, or just general negativity. Your excitement deflates, and you end up comforting them instead of celebrating your success. Or the opposite. You're dealing with a legitimate problem and feeling stressed. They're suddenly upbeat, making jokes, acting like everything's fine. You feel like you're being dramatic for having normal human emotions. This is emotional warfare disguised as normal interaction. They're training you to suppress positive emotions and dismiss negative ones. Over time, you lose touch with your authentic emotional responses. This works because humans naturally want emotional harmony in relationships. When someone important to us displays different emotions, we instinctively try to match them or adjust ours. Narcissists exploit this tendency. The long-term effect is devastating. You stop trusting your own emotional responses. Happy moments get dimmed. Legitimate concerns get minimized. You become emotionally flat, unsure of what you're allowed to feel. I worked with a woman whose husband did this constantly. When she got promoted, he'd talk about how stressful her new responsibilities would be. When she was upset about something legitimate, he'd laugh and call her too sensitive. She came to me because she'd lost touch with her own feelings. Sometimes they don't just mirror the opposite. They drain your energy entirely. You walk into a room feeling good, and within minutes of interacting with them, you feel exhausted, confused, or upset. They've literally stolen your positive energy. Here's how to spot this. Notice how you feel before and after interacting with them. Do your emotions consistently shift in response to their mood? Do you find yourself suppressing excitement or minimizing problems based on their reactions? They're often testing to see if they can control your emotional state. If you stay excited despite their negativity, they might escalate their dampening behavior. If you suppress your feelings, they've won. Here's your defense strategy. Maintain your emotional independence. If you're happy, stay happy regardless of their reaction. If you're upset, honor that feeling even if they dismiss it. Before interacting with them, check in with yourself. How do I feel right now? After the interaction, check again. If your emotions have shifted dramatically, that's a red flag. Practice validating your own emotions. I'm excited about this promotion, and that's valid. I'm upset about this situation, and that's reasonable. Don't let them rewrite your emotional reality. Emotion mirroring is manipulative. But the eighth hidden message takes control to a whole new level. Hidden message 8. The attention hijack. Hidden message number 8 is what I call the attention hijack, and it's designed to ensure that all focus remains on the narcissist, no matter what's happening around them. Picture this. You're having a conversation with friends about your recent vacation. Right in the middle of your story, the narcissist interrupts with their own travel story, usually one that's more expensive, more exotic, or more dramatic than yours. The hidden message is crystal clear. I am the most interesting person here. Nothing you say matters as much as what I have to say. This conversation exists for my benefit. This isn't random interruption. It's systematic hijacking. They wait for moments when you're getting positive attention, then redirect that attention to themselves. It's like they have radar for when the spotlight isn't on them. The hijacking takes many forms. Physical interruption, literally speaking over you. One-upping your stories, that's nothing. Wait until you hear what happened to me. Crisis creation, suddenly remembering an urgent problem when you're getting attention. Topic switching, completely changing the subject to something about them. I've seen mothers hijack their children's graduation. celebrations by creating medical emergencies, colleagues who derail team meetings to discuss their own projects, partners who interrupt good news with relationship drama. One client's sister would literally fake injuries at family gatherings whenever someone else was being celebrated. Birthday parties, anniversaries, achievements. There was always a mysterious health crisis that required immediate attention. Narcissists have what's called narcissistic supply. They need constant attention, admiration, and validation to maintain their self-image. When attention goes to someone else, they experience it as a threat to their very identity. Over time, this hijacking conditions you to keep your good news to yourself, minimize your achievements, always redirect conversation back to them, feel guilty for receiving positive attention. Here's the really insidious part. They often make you feel selfish for wanting to share your own experiences. You're always talking about yourself, they'll say. When they've been dominating conversations for years, they're particularly skilled at this in social settings because calling them out makes you look rude. You can't say, "Stop hijacking my story," without appearing confrontational, so you just let it happen. The exhaustion you feel after being around them isn't accidental. Constantly having your attention hijacked is mentally and emotionally draining. You learn to become a supporting character in your own life. Here's how to spot attention hijacking. Notice if they consistently interrupt positive moments about you. Watch for pattern recognition. Do they always have a crisis when you have good news? Do conversations always end up being about them? How to handle attention hijacks. Don't abandon your story mid-sentence. Politely but firmly return to your topic. Let me finish telling you about my vacation. Then I'd love to hear about your trip. In group settings, engage others directly. Sarah, what did you think about what I was saying before? This makes it harder for them to permanently hijack the conversation. With chronic hijackers, set clear boundaries. I notice you often interrupt when I'm sharing news. I need to be able to finish my thoughts before hearing your response. One client started using the parking lot method with her mother. "Mom, I hear that you have something to share, and I want to give it proper attention. Let me finish this story first. Then you have my full focus." It worked because it acknowledged the mother's need for attention while protecting the client's right to be heard. Attention hijacking is obvious once you see it, but the ninth hidden message is so subtle that it happens completely under your conscious radar. Hidden message. 9. The energy vampire. Hidden message number 9 is what I call the energy vampire. And this one is particularly insidious because it operates completely below conscious awareness. Have you ever noticed that certain people just drain you? You might spend just 20 minutes with them, but afterward you feel exhausted, deflated, or emotionally empty. That's not coincidence. That's strategic energy manipulation. The message they're sending is, your energy belongs to me. I have the right to take whatever I need from you, regardless of how it affects you. Energy vampires use several subtle techniques. Constant complaints that require your emotional labor to address, creating chaos that you feel compelled to fix, overwhelming you with their problems while showing no interest in yours, using dramatic emotional displays that demand your immediate attention and care. Here's what most people don't realize. This energy drain is actually biological. When someone dumps their emotional chaos on you, your nervous system responds as if you're under threat. Your body produces stress hormones, depletes your energy reserves, and leaves you feeling physically exhausted. Think about that coworker who comes to your desk every day to complain about their life, the family member who calls only when they need something, the friend who dominates every conversation with their latest crisis. I had a client whose mother would call every evening during dinner time to discuss her various health concerns, relationship drama, and financial worries. My client would spend an hour trying to solve problems that her mother had no intention of fixing. Every night she'd hang up feeling drained and irritated. Here's the psychological hook. These people become addicted to your energy, your emotional responses, your problem-solving efforts, your concern. It all feeds their need for attention and validation. They literally need you to feel bad so they can feel better. Want to identify an energy vampire? Try the reciprocity test. Share your own problems or concerns and see what happens. Energy vampires will either Immediately redirect the conversation back to themselves. Minimize your problems. At least you don't have to deal with. Become uncomfortable and end the conversation quickly. Try to one-up your problems with bigger problems of their own. When you try to protect your energy by limiting contact or not engaging with their problems, they deploy guilt tactics. I thought I could count on you. You're the only one who understands. I just needed someone to listen. Energy vampires are masters of emotional dumping. They'll unload their stress, anxiety, anger, and frustration onto you without permission, then walk away feeling better while you're left processing their emotions on top of your own. They often disguise energy vampirism as needing help. But notice, they rarely implement your advice. The same problems keep recurring, and they seem more invested in talking about problems than solving them. Your body will tell you when someone is vampiring your energy. Feeling tired after interacting with them, headaches or tension after conversations, difficulty focusing on your own tasks afterward, feeling emotionally heavy or burdened, needing recovery time after seeing them. Here's how to protect your energy. Set time limits on problem-focused conversations. I have 10 minutes to chat. Then I need to get back to work. Don't try to fix their problems. That's not your responsibility. Use phrases like, "That sounds really challenging. What are you planning to do about it?" This puts the responsibility back on them instead of making you the solution provider. After dealing with energy vampires, practice energy restoration. Take a few minutes alone. Do deep breathing. Engage in activities that bring you joy. Or spend time with people who energize you. Ask yourself, does this person contribute positive energy to your life? Or do they only take? Healthy relationships have energy exchange. Both people give and receive. Energy vampires are exhausting. But the 10th hidden message is about something even more fundamental. Your sense of reality itself. Hidden message 10. The reality distortion. Hidden message number 10 is the most psychologically dangerous of all. It's what I call the reality distortion, and it's designed to make you question your own perception of truth. This is advanced gaslighting that happens without words, through subtle expressions, strategic reactions, and carefully timed responses. Narcissists can make you doubt your own memory, perception, and sanity. The message is, your version of reality is wrong. I am the authority on what's true and what's not. Trust me, not yourself. They use several nonverbal techniques, reacting with confusion or disbelief when you mention things they said or did, looking at you like you're crazy when you bring up past events, exchanging knowing glances with others when you speak, as if you're delusional, acting completely normal after explosive or inappropriate behavior. One of the most common tactics is memory manipulation. They'll act genuinely puzzled when you reference something they clearly said or did. Their expression of confusion is so convincing that you start to doubt your own memory. Here's a typical example. You clearly remember them promising to attend your work event. When the day comes and they don't show up, you confront them. They look at you with genuine confusion and say, "I never said I would come. Are you feeling okay?" You seem to be remembering things that didn't happen. Their expression is so convincing, slightly concerned, a little worried about your mental state, that you actually start questioning yourself. Did they really say they'd come? Maybe you misunderstood? I always tell my clients to start documenting. Write down important conversations immediately after they happen. Take screenshots of text messages. Keep a journal. Because reality distortion works by making you doubt your own memory over time. They don't just distort facts. They distort your emotional reality too. If you're upset about something they did, they'll react as if your emotional response is completely unreasonable. Their facial expression communicates, "You're being crazy." Normal people don't react this way. I worked with a client whose husband would forget important conversations about money, household responsibilities, and relationship issues. When she'd bring up these forgotten commitments, he'd look at her with such genuine concern and confusion that she started seeing a therapist because she thought she might have early onset dementia. She was 34 years old. Reality distortion is particularly effective because it isolates you from your own inner truth. When you can't trust your own memory or perception, you become completely dependent on their version of reality. In group settings, they might enlist others in the reality distortion. They'll make comments like, "Does anyone else remember it that way?" Or, "She has a tendency to embellish stories." Now, it's not just your memory against theirs. It's your memory against multiple people. Watch for the subtle head shake when you're speaking your truth. It's barely perceptible, but it sends a clear message to anyone watching. Don't believe what this person is saying. Here's how to protect yourself. Find trusted friends or family members who can serve as reality checks. Share your experiences with people who aren't under the narcissist's influence. Their perspectives will help ground you in actual reality. Keep evidence when possible. Save texts, emails, voicemails. Write down conversations immediately after they happen. When they claim something never happened, you'll have proof of your own sanity. Most importantly, trust your gut. If you remember something happening, it probably did. If your emotional response feels valid, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your own experience isn't real. If you're experiencing regular reality distortion, consider talking to a therapist. They can help you rebuild confidence in your own perceptions and provide professional validation that you're not going crazy. Reality distortion attacks your sense of truth. But the 11th hidden message attacks something even more fundamental. Your right to exist as an individual. Hidden message 11. The autonomy crusher. Hidden message number 11 is what I call the autonomy crusher, and it's designed to communicate that you don't have the right to make your own decisions or live your own life. This message is sent through subtle but consistent attempts to control your choices, your schedule, your relationships, and even your thoughts. They don't directly forbid you from doing things. Instead, they make every independent choice feel wrong, selfish, or dangerous. The message is, you are not capable of making good decisions without my input. Your desire for independence is selfish and harmful. You exist to serve my needs, not your own. The autonomy crushing happens through showing disappointment or hurt whenever you make plans without them, creating emergencies that coincidentally happen when you have important events, giving you the silent treatment after you assert independence, acting worried or concerned about your poor choices, questioning your judgment consistently until you doubt yourself. Think about the partner who gets sick every time you plan a girls' night out, the parent who calls with a crisis whenever you're about to make a major life decision, the friend who acts hurt and betrayed when you spend time with other people. I had a client whose mother would develop mysterious symptoms requiring immediate attention every time my client planned a vacation. Not minor trips, only the important ones. Beach weekend with friends, mom was fine. 2-week European adventure, suddenly mom was having heart palpitations and needed constant care. Here's how the cycle works. You make an independent decision. They react with hurt, disappointment, or crisis. You feel guilty and reconsider. You change your plans to accommodate them. They reward you with approval. You learn that independence leads to pain, while compliance leads to peace. Over time, this conditioning creates decision paralysis. You start running every choice by them, not because you want their input, but because you're afraid of their reaction if you don't. You've been trained to seek permission for your own life. Autonomy crushers are particularly threatened by your relationships with others. They'll subtly sabotage friendships, romantic relationships, and professional connections that might give you support or alternative perspectives. I worked with a woman whose husband would start fights right before she was supposed to meet friends. Not obvious fights, subtle provocations that would escalate, just enough to make her feel like she couldn't leave. She started canceling plans to work things out, and eventually, her friends stopped inviting her. They'll consistently question your expertise in areas where you're actually knowledgeable. If you're a nurse, they'll question your medical knowledge. If you're a teacher, they'll doubt your educational insights. The message is that you can't trust your own professional judgment. Often, autonomy crushing includes financial control, not through direct restriction, but through emotional manipulation around money. They'll act hurt if you spend money on yourself, worried if you want financial independence, or generous when you're being compliant. Sometimes the control extends to your physical movement. They'll find reasons why you shouldn't travel, move, or even drive certain places. They create a smaller and smaller world for you to live in. Here's how to recognize autonomy crushing. Notice if you consistently check with them before making decisions. Do you find yourself choosing their preferences over yours? Do you feel guilty when you do things independently? Do you avoid certain activities because of their potential reaction? Rebuilding autonomy takes practice. Start with small decisions that don't require their input. Choose your own meal at restaurants. Pick your own clothes. Make minor plans without consultation. Build your independence muscle gradually. Rebuild relationships with people who support your independence. Narcissists isolate you from people who might encourage your autonomy. Reconnecting with supportive friends and family helps you remember what healthy relationships feel like. Practice owning your decisions. I've decided to take this job. Not, what do you think about this job? The language you use matters. It signals to both of you that you're the authority on your own life. Set clear boundaries around decision-making. I appreciate your concern, but this is my decision to make. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Jade. Your autonomy doesn't require their approval. Autonomy crushing steals your right to self-determination. But the 12th hidden message is about something even more precious, your sense of self-worth. Hidden message 12, the worth destroyer. Hidden message number 12 is the most personally devastating. It's the worth destroyer, and it's designed to systematically dismantle your sense of self-value until you believe you're lucky to have them in your life at all. This isn't about obvious insults or direct criticism. Instead, it's a systematic campaign of subtle messages that chip away at your self-worth so gradually that you don't even notice it's happening until your confidence is completely eroded. The message is, you are fundamentally flawed, inadequate, and lucky that anyone tolerates you. Without me, you would be nothing. You should be grateful for whatever scraps of attention I give you. They destroy your worth through subtle expressions of disgust or disappointment when you speak, comparing you unfavorably to others through meaningful glances, showing boredom or impatience when you're excited about something, acting surprised when you succeed as if they never expected it, treating your accomplishments as lucky accidents rather than earned achievements. One of their most effective tools is strategic comparison. They'll praise others for qualities you lack, discuss how impressive other people are, or make comments about how some people are naturally gifted in ways you're not. Picture this. You get a promotion at work and excitedly tell them. Instead of congratulations, you get, wow, I'm surprised they chose you. There must not have been much competition. The message? You don't deserve good things, and when you get them, it's not because you earned them. Or they'll consistently praise your sister's cooking while remaining silent about yours. They'll rave about your friend's parenting while critiquing yours. The comparisons are never in your favor. I worked with a client whose mother would constantly compare her to her more successful sister, not through direct criticism, but through strategic praise. Every family gathering included updates on the sister's achievements, her beautiful home, her perfect children, her successful marriage. My client was rarely mentioned, and when she was, it was with faint praise or gentle concern about her choices. When you do succeed, they minimize it. Anyone could have done that. You got lucky. It's about time. Don't let it go to your head. Now you need to prove you can keep it up. The message is that your successes are flukes, not reflections of your capability or worth. While minimizing your strengths, they magnify your flaws. A small mistake becomes evidence of your incompetence. A single failure overshadows years of success. They have perfect recall for your errors, but convenient amnesia for your achievements. They'll often remind you of everything they've done for you, creating a sense that you owe them. The implication is that without their generosity, you'd have nothing. You should be grateful, not demanding. You should give, not expect to receive. Sometimes the message is delivered through implied replaceability. They'll mention how many people would love to be in your position, how easily they could find someone else. or how they don't really need you. The message is that you're expendable. In social settings, they'll undermine your worth publicly through joking about your failures or shortcomings, correcting you in front of others, sharing embarrassing stories about you, acting embarrassed by your behavior, excluding you from conversations or decisions. The most insidious part, over time, their voice becomes your internal voice. You start seeing yourself through their eyes, believing their assessment of your worth. You preemptively put yourself down before they can do it. Your body will show signs of worth destruction, shrinking posture around them, difficulty making eye contact, speaking more quietly or tentatively, apologizing excessively, seeking permission for normal behavior. Rebuilding your sense of worth requires intentional effort. Keep a daily list of your accomplishments, no matter how small. Spend time with people who see and celebrate your value. Practice positive self-talk to counter their negative messages. Celebrate your successes without downplaying them. Remember, your worth isn't determined by their opinion. If your sense of worth has been systematically destroyed, consider working with a therapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse recovery. They can help you rebuild your self-esteem from the ground up. Practice daily affirmations that counter their messages. I am valuable. I deserve respect. My accomplishments are real. I am worthy of love. It may feel awkward at first, but you're rewiring years of negative programming. Worth destruction attacks your very core, but we're not done yet. The 13th hidden message is about control of your future itself. Hidden message. 13. The future thief. Hidden message number 13 is what I call the future thief. And this one is particularly cruel because it robs you of hope, dreams, and the belief that you can create a better tomorrow for yourself. Future thieves don't directly tell you to give up your dreams. Instead, they systematically undermine your confidence in your ability to achieve them. They plant seeds of doubt about your plans, your capabilities, and your right to want more from life. The message they're sending is, your dreams are unrealistic. Your goals are selfish. You should be content with what you have. Wanting more shows you're ungrateful and delusional. They crush your future through, showing skepticism whenever you discuss your goals, bringing up past failures when you talk about new plans, acting worried about the risks of pursuing your dreams, suggesting you're being unrealistic or impractical, focusing on everything that could go wrong instead of what could go right. Notice the timing. They're most discouraging when you're excited and motivated. Right when you're ready to take action toward your dreams, they flood you with doubts, concerns, and worst-case scenarios. Think about the partner who responds to your business idea with concerns about failure rather than excitement about possibility. The parent who reminds you of every time you've started something and not finished it when you mention wanting to go back to school. I had a client who wanted to become a photographer. Every time she mentioned her plans, her husband would bring up the starving artist stereotype, worry about the financial instability, and remind her that most photographers never make it. He never directly said, don't do it, but his consistent negativity killed her enthusiasm. Future thieves create what I call a safety cage. They convince you that staying small and safe is wise, while pursuing growth is dangerous and irresponsible. They frame limitation as protection and dreams as threats. I worked with a woman whose mother would get visibly anxious whenever she discussed career advancement. The mother would bring up stories of people who got too ambitious and lost everything. She'd worry about the stress, the time commitment, the possibility of failure. My client learned to keep her ambitions small to avoid triggering her. Mother's anxiety. Sometimes future theft involves hoarding resources you need to pursue your goals. They'll control finances, time, or support in ways that make it impossible for you to invest in your future. Not through direct refusal, but through endless delays, concerns, and alternative priorities. When you do make progress toward your goals, they move the goalposts. The achievement you thought would impress them is suddenly just the beginning. The milestone you celebrated becomes nothing compared to what's next. You can never succeed enough to earn their support. They'll compare your dreams to others, achievements in ways that make yours seem insignificant. Sarah's starting a business too, but she has an MBA. If you really wanted to be an artist, you would have started years ago like David did. Age becomes a weapon against your dreams. You're too old to start. Over. You should have done this when you were younger. It's too late now. They steal your future by convincing you that you've missed your window of opportunity. They'll use family responsibilities to guilt you out of pursuing your dreams. What about the kids? We need you to focus on the family. This isn't the time to be selfish. Your dreams become selfish desires that hurt others. Future thieves are always predicting your failure. Not obvious predictions, but subtle expressions of doubt. Worried comments about your choices. And consistent focus on obstacles rather than opportunities. They'll use family responsibilities to guilt you out of pursuing your dreams. What about the kids? We need you to focus on the family. This isn't the time to be selfish. Your dreams become selfish desires that hurt others. Future thieves are always predicting your failure. Not obvious predictions, but subtle expressions of doubt. Worried comments about your choices. And consistent focus on obstacles rather than opportunities. Here's how to recognize future theft. Notice who supports your dreams versus who consistently discourages them. Pay attention to how you feel about your goals after talking to different people. Do certain people make you feel excited about possibilities, while others make you feel foolish for dreaming? Protect your dreams by sharing them only with genuinely supportive people, writing down your goals and reviewing them regularly, taking action steps regardless of others' opinions, celebrating small progress along the way, remembering that your dreams don't require anyone else's permission. Build a network of people who believe in your potential. Join groups related to your goals. Find mentors who've achieved what you want. Connect with others pursuing similar dreams. Surround yourself with future builders, not future thieves. Reframe the age excuse. I'm not too old to start. I'm experienced enough to succeed. I haven't missed my window. I'm ready for my time. My dreams don't have expiration dates. Future thieves steal your tomorrow. But we have one final hidden message that brings everything together. Hidden message 14. The soul imprisonment. The 14th and final hidden message is the most comprehensive and devastating of all. I call it the soul imprisonment, and it encompasses all the previous 13 messages into one overarching strategy designed to trap your authentic self in a cage of their making. This final hidden message is, your authentic self is unacceptable. To earn my approval and avoid my wrath, you must become whoever I need you to be. Your true thoughts, feelings, dreams, and desires are inconvenient to me, so they must be suppressed or eliminated. Soul imprisonment happens when all the previous 13 messages have successfully conditioned you to doubt your own perceptions, reality distortion, suppress your emotions, emotion mirroring, abandon your dreams, future theft, question your worth, worth destruction, give up your autonomy, autonomy crushing, accept energy drain as normal, energy vampirism, allow boundary violations, space invasion, tolerate disrespect, timing power plays, feel dismissed and invalidated, micro-expressions and glances, live in fear of abandonment, strategic silence. When your authentic self has been systematically dismantled, you create what psychologists call a false self, a version of you designed to survive in their presence. This false self says what they want to hear, feels what they want you to feel, dreams what they allow you to dream, wants what they approve of you wanting. The most insidious part of soul imprisonment is that it doesn't feel like imprisonment. It feels like love, protection, or normal relationships. You've been conditioned so gradually that you don't realize. You're living a life that isn't truly yours. I had a client who realized she hadn't made a single major life decision based on her own desires in over a decade. Career choice? Based on what would make her husband proud. Where to live? What would please her parents? How to spend her free time? What wouldn't upset anyone? She'd become a character in everyone else's story. One of the clearest signs of soul imprisonment is identity confusion. You genuinely don't know what you like, what you want, or who you are apart from your relationships with others. When asked about your preferences, You automatically think about what others would want. Soul imprisonment creates a paradox. You desperately want freedom but are terrified of it. The authentic self has been buried so long that the idea of being truly yourself feels dangerous, selfish, or wrong. Many people reach a breaking point where they realize they don't recognize themselves anymore. They look in the mirror and see a stranger. They realize they're living someone else's life. This moment, while painful, is actually the beginning of liberation. Soul liberation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of recognizing the imprisonment, grieving the lost years, slowly reconnecting with your authentic self, setting boundaries to protect your rediscovered identity, learning to tolerate others' disapproval of your authenticity. Recovery involves archaeological work, digging through layers of conditioning to rediscover who you really are. What did you love before someone told you it was wrong? What dreams did you abandon? What parts of yourself did you hide? Here's how to begin liberation. Spend time alone to reconnect with your thoughts and feelings. Try new activities to discover authentic preferences. Practice saying no to requests that don't align with your values. Express opinions that might disappoint others. Make small decisions based solely on your desires. Soul liberation requires support. Find people who celebrate your authentic self, not just your compliant self. Therapy can be incredibly helpful for this process, especially with someone who understands narcissistic abuse recovery. Liberation requires courage, the courage to disappoint others, to be misunderstood, to be rejected for being authentic rather than accepted for being fake. But here's the truth. A life lived authentically is the only life worth living. When you begin to break free from soul imprisonment, celebrate every small victory. The first time you express a genuine opinion, the first time you pursue something solely because you want it, the first time you set a boundary and maintain it despite pushback. We've just uncovered 14 hidden messages that narcissists send without ever speaking a word. From subtle micro-expressions to complete soul imprisonment, these tactics are designed to control, manipulate, and diminish you. But here's what I want you to remember. Knowledge is power. Now that you can see these hidden messages, they lose much of their effectiveness. You can't be manipulated by tactics you can recognize and understand. If you've experienced these hidden messages, please know that recovery is possible. Your authentic self is still there, waiting to be rediscovered. Your dreams are still valid. Your worth was never actually diminished, even if you were convinced it was. Here's what I want you to do after watching this video. First, take the recognition quiz I've linked in the description. It will help you identify which of these 14 messages you've experienced most frequently. Second, start documenting. Keep a journal of interactions that leave you feeling confused, drained, or diminished. Patterns will emerge. Third, begin building your support network. Share this video with trusted friends or family members. You don't have to heal alone. Speaking of support, I want you to know that you're part of a community now. The comment section of this video is full of people who understand exactly what you've been through. Read their stories. Share your own if you feel comfortable. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. If this video helped you recognize manipulation in your life, please like it and share it. This information needs to reach as many people as possible. You never know whose life you might change by sharing. And definitely subscribe to this channel because we're building something important here, a community of people who refuse to be manipulated, who support each other's healing, and who are committed to living authentically. Next week, I'm releasing a video on how to respond to each hidden message, specific scripts and strategies for protecting yourself from these manipulation tactics. You won't want to miss it. Don't forget to check out the resources I've linked in the description. Books, articles, and professional support options for anyone dealing with narcissistic manipulation. Remember, your authentic self is not only acceptable, it's beautiful. Your dreams matter. Your feelings are valid. Your boundaries deserve respect. You are worthy of genuine love and support. Thank you for watching, for being brave enough to learn these difficult truths, and for committing to your own healing and growth. I'll see you in the next video.